Hello and welcome to Insight. I am Elizabeth Omori. Duty calls for my co-presenter Namdi Odipo. On this edition, several issues are before us. We will begin with meeting Sustainable Development Goal 1, which aims to end poverty in all of its forms everywhere by 2030. It involves several approaches, including improving education and healthcare, ensuring access to clean water, promoting gender equity, and fostering inclusive economic growth through policies like social protection and job creation. How feasible is realizing this goal? What are we doing as a nation and continent to achieving this goal? You will find out on the program. We'll also be looking at the media, unionism, and digital tools. What is the correlation? How can the media thrive in an evolving world where artificial intelligence is penetrating all sectors? Still on our radar. Now, business failure is not new at all in Nigeria. What is more striking is that startups and small businesses face this problem more than big businesses. And so, we will be recalling a conversation on thriving businesses. So, once again, welcome to Insights.
Whatever the issues are,
the National Assembly is constitutionally empowered to scrutinize,
however complex or intricate.
We have involved all the academia, the members of the academia. We have involved the academies.
Be it government policies or in fact any issue of public concern.
Our job is to help you gain clarity and make sense of it all.
This is not really healthy for our democracy.
There's a lot of aggrievance in terms of who has been in power longest and who becomes the governor of the state.
It's also in the quality of food being consumed.
After all, perception is insight.
And gaining understanding is also getting insight.
Poverty eradication refers to efforts and strategies aimed at completely eliminating poverty, a condition where individuals or communities lack the financial resources to meet basic needs such as food, shelter, healthcare, and education. It is one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDG 1. Poverty is multifaceted in Africa, affecting access to education, healthcare, clean water, and economic opportunities, with a significant portion of the population living below poverty line. Ending poverty before 2030 is a focus on this segment, and my guest, Engineer Nelson Ogohi, Executive Director, Effort Leadership Innovation Initiative, who is also a business coach, will speak to us. Coach Nelson, thank you so much for joining us on Insights.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Now, poverty, what is your position about poverty?
Well, talking about poverty, there is a lot that comes to play. As a matter of fact, it is the reason why there's certain cliches, a certain nomenclature that are used for some of us. For instance, you hear things like the third world countries, you hear some things like
second class,
underdeveloped, and all of those nomenclatures just pointing to the fact that we have more people living under the poverty line in these areas, in these places. And then when you come down to the micro level in country, you begin to look at the different states, you look at of course, we had at some point where we began to talk about the fact that there's something called the multi-dimensional poverty, right, in Nigeria, meaning that the poverty is multifaceted, affecting different categories of people and in different ways. All right, so poverty is something that I think we need to give more attention to. And as a matter of fact, when we talk of development, every development, and good as it is, the SDG goals, we have that the first one is actually poverty reduction or poverty eradication, which tells you how important and how much of a priority it is. Poverty is so endemic in this part of the world that we've heard all manner of stories about people who have died as a result of poverty. Those who have dropped out of school because they couldn't take care of themselves, they couldn't pay their way through school. They're different. It's all sorts when it comes to poverty, and that's the reason why talking about poverty is so so intense. And not just that, it's something we should all give attention to. And that's the reason why I'm here to talk with you on poverty reduction. It is possible, it can be done, but all hands have to be on deck, and we need to look at since it's multidimensional, we also need to look at a multidimensional approach towards eradicating poverty by 2030.
By 2030. All right. Now, when we talk about poverty, certain issues, factors actually lead to poverty. Now, for any developing countries, what could be the factors?
The factors they are numerous. Some of the factors range from both, we would call them at the community level, we have community factors. At the family level, we have family factors. At the individual level, we have individual factors. Then, of course, at the governmental level, we have governmental factors. One of the things that people always say is that Nigeria is so rich in mineral resources. We have a lot. As a matter of fact, Nigeria does not have any business doing with poverty when you look at what God has blessed us with as a people and as a nation. Right? But the challenge has always been, how does that, right, the potentials that we have, given the natural mineral resources that we have, how does that translate into making Nigeria and Nigerians rich? So economic factors will come to play, and begin to talk about micro and macroeconomics at the national level, at the government level, and then a sub-regional, sub-government levels, and then down to individuals. So we want to talk about factors. We'll begin to talk of, for instance, we'll begin to talk about education. Because education opens up the mind. Education gives you what the necessary knowledge is, because there are three levels basically. We have the knowledge, we have the skills, and then we have the empowerment, which comes by resources or financial empowerment and all of that. But when there is no education, which is at the base level, many people who are not educated, even though some of them have learned how to go to farm or go to do some trading businesses in the marketplaces and all of that, it does not really transcend into being called a rich person or someone who is doing well favorably in the society. So there are many factors. Education is one of them. Lack of it. We know that many people also lack some kind of skills. When there's no skill, there's no development of skills. People just live on. I go to the park sometimes, and you're traveling, and you see some of these young men whose daily feeding, daily livelihood come from maybe carrying loads, helping to push trucks and all those kind of things, right? Now, most times when you look at it, because there are more people in this category who are not skilled, who have not learned a skill or another to help them, become favorably either employed or become self-employed and stuff like that, it becomes difficult for them. So we begin to also talk about other national factors. There are no jobs in town, there's unemployment, and many other stuff like that. So there are just many factors when we talk about poverty.
Many factors. Yeah. All right, I'm impressed with your explanation, but you made a statement. What actually makes a country rich?
Wow, that's a very, very... it's a deep question, right? And I like to come to it from a different perspective. What makes a country rich is a combination of things, not just one thing. A combination of, first of all, the quality of the people that you have in the nation.
Okay.
When we talk about riches, most times we look more to our national resources. We even talk about our forex reserves. We talk about some of the other economic, in quotes, economic opportunities or potentials that a country has. That is actually not what makes a country rich. What makes a country rich is the quality of life of the people, the quality of the kind of people that the country produces. Yeah. Now, when you look at them, you begin to note, are there people who, in this country, how many people have control? I give an example. Because when we talk of poverty, one of the things we need to look at is that what poverty does is that it takes control from the hands of people. Yeah. What it does is that it makes them powerless when it comes to decision making. It makes people not to be able to respond favorably to the questions of life. And that's because poverty takes away control. But once control is handed over to the people through empowerment, what happens is that the people themselves begin to live a qualitative life, right? Now, I talk of Singapore sometimes. We all talk about Singapore. Singapore is not a country that has many natural resources. As a matter of fact, they are not, it's just one island, encompassed with water and all of that. But the quality of people, their labor force, their workforce, the kind of people that come out of there, you know, when you meet with them, you can tell that's why their economy is one of the best, if not the best in the world, because they invest in the people. So whatever resource you have, if you have not learned to invest in your people, what happens is that you've taken control from the hands of the people and put in the hands of a few. Now, what happens with that is that the few will have the say every time. Okay? Is the reason why it's easy to draft people into crime, because control is taken out of them. It's taken from their hands. So the moment control goes back to the people through empowerment, people begin to become qualitative. Their lives become qualitative. And then we can now say that the nation is rich.
Okay. Now, in investing in people, is empowerment the only answer to ending poverty?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Empowerment is the answer to taking people out of poverty, to eradicating poverty, as we usually say. Now, the reason is because when it comes to people, it is not what you give to them to eat, to make them maybe satisfied per time, that makes them rich or that makes them live above the poverty line. What makes people live above the poverty line is the abilities that they've gotten, the wherewithal, the independence that make them go out to get for themselves what they need, to be able to fend for themselves, to be able to take care of their daily needs, to be able to put their children through school, to be able to put food on the table, to be able to help get a house, a shelter, a roof over their head. Now, these things come through empowerment. And when we talk of empowerment, we're talking of knowledge, we're talking of skills, and we're talking of resources. But most times, we focus too much on resources when we have not developed knowledge. Knowledge is the bedrock, is the foundation upon which every kind of empowerment must be based. And it's the reason why some of us have given our time and ourselves to that filling that gap. You know, there's a knowledge gap, right? We go to rural areas, we talk with people and get to realize that they don't even understand just little simple things about financial control. What does it mean to even have control over your finances? Yeah. The little that you go to farm, many of these people go to farm. It will amaze you when you get to the rural areas, you get to the farmers and you see how much they actually can make from what they do. But because they're not exposed, they do not have the requisite knowledge that gives them that bedrock upon which they can strengthen their skills, and then resources can begin to flow. So it becomes difficult for them to move forward. Then we move from knowledge, you get to skills, and it's the reason why I'm excited sometimes when I begin to see what the government is doing in the areas of skill acquisition. We have the Skill Up, what they call it, Skill Up, right? Skill Up Artisan.
Yes. Skill
Up Artisans is one of the programs that the government is working on. There is the GEEP, G-E-E-P,
yes.
Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, and many of such. There is the LEAP also, Labor Employment and Empowerment Program. So many of those kind of things. Now you see that what government is doing now is to focus on what really matters. The knowledge gap, the skill gap must be filled. It is only then that you can give resources that will become efficient. So people cannot use resources when they have not been trained on how to multiply money, for instance, how to make money, how to put money to use so that they can get returns out of it. Of course, there are other programs that are more resource-based. When we talk about the empowerment for SMEs and all of that. These are ongoing programs that the government is doing. And for me, this is what the people need. When you stratify them in the knowledge, the skill, and the resource at the top, you are going to get it right. The idea now is to see how we can multiply, increase it, expand the net, bring more people into it, and see how we can graduate when it comes to poverty eradication.
All right, yeah, you highlighted some of the national social investment programs that the federal government is using as safety nets to alleviate poverty. So how do we eradicate poverty before 2030? Because that's the target, and that's goal one of the goals. Is this realizable? Is this feasible?
Very difficult to answer, especially the last part of the question. It talks about the feasibility of it, the possibility of it. It's a yes and a no for me. If it is well propagated, if it is opened more, you know. One of the problems I have, and that's the reason why there is a no also, is that when it comes to poverty eradication and some of the social safety nets that the government has put in place, right? It is not just enough to put some of these things in place. Many times, because I work in this circle, it's easy to tell some of the little loopholes that are there when it comes to things like this. Sometimes the monitoring process, the monitoring and evaluation process, sometimes when we talk about the administration of it, another thing again is the transparency of it. Another aspect of it again is how does it actually get to the people that really need it? You know, our problem most times can be very multidimensional, in the sense that the government can have a good idea, push it out there, but the people that are running with it become the bottlenecks, or they create what we call a lead, such that you can't, you know, they just put everything in a box and it becomes difficult for every other person to access. Then the monitoring and evaluation processes, right? Then on the other hand is government alone cannot eradicate poverty.
Okay.
Oh, no. Government alone cannot eradicate poverty. The moment you leave it in the hands of government alone, we will have a problem. And the problem is that it will be insufficient. And insufficiency comes from the fact that it is not only government. Government, as a matter of fact, what government should do most times is to create programs like this, create empowerment opportunities, and then open up the space for other players to do their bit. There's a reason why we talk about riches and wealth, and many times we try to make a distinction. A rich man can bequeath riches to his child. Someone can give you money, you become rich. But wealth is not like that. Wealth is cultivated. Yeah. Wealth is built.
You grind.
You push until you get there. So young people, if you are going through the trenches, it looks like it's difficult. The process actually would always be difficult.
It's difficult.
But there is a sure end. And the sure end is that you will be better off than the person who jumped over some of these things. Many of them have not learned many of the things that you are learning, and you're better off.
Engineer Nelson Ogohi, I want to thank you so much for joining us on Insight this week. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
For enlightening us. Thank you very much.
My pleasure being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.